Our next up, very fun featherweight clash here as we have Nathaniel Wood coming in at plus 185 going up against Keita, who comes in at minus 220. Now, starting off on the Wood side of things are looking good for him ever since moving up to featherweight. He is 6-1 at the division now, with his one loss being to Muhammad Naimov in a very close fight and somewhat controversial considering the fouls that Naimov continued to commit throughout that matchup. But since then, Wood is now 3-0, defeating Daniel Pineda, Morgan Charrier, showcasing a very well-rounded skill set that night, and then coming back and winning a decision against Jose Delgado, who just picked up a split decision win over Andre Fili this past weekend. But against Delgado, we saw Wood get dropped and nearly finished in the first round, but luckily his veterancy came through for him in the second and third rounds, and he was able to outwork Delgado and just barely win that fight. It was a close fight. Probably could have gone either way, but I was happy because I took an underdog shot on Wood and it ended up paying off for us that night. But again, it goes to show his experience, his fight IQ. 28 fights into his career. He was seen as a guy that would probably contend for the bantamweight title one time, but it seemed like the weight cut really started to get to him. Obviously, the knockout loss to John Dodson and then getting out grappled by Casey Kenny kind of halted his momentum at that division. But since moving to 145 pounds, it seems like he has kind of resurrected his career in a sense. And still a guy that could go out there and get some big wins and maybe find himself in that top 10 to 15 range if he's able to mount up a few more wins here. Now he's going up against Keita, who is one of the most highly touted prospects coming out of Octagon MMA. He was a double champ over there, if I'm not mistaken. He won titles at 145 and 155, and then he got signed to the UFC and was scheduled to take on Patricio Pitbull back in September. Unfortunately, he mismanaged his weight cut down to 145 pounds. He weighed in at 149. Patricio did not want to take the fight, hence the fight ended up getting canceled. But Keita, I think there was a lot working against him going into that fight. He got signed pretty late, and then he was forced to go down to 145 pounds. And knowing the gamer that he is, obviously he was going to take that opportunity and jump all over it. Little did he know that he would struggle to make the weight that he did. Normally he makes 145 without much issue, but I think the abbreviated training camp, having to cut down to 145 pounds, all that kind of just had a recipe for disaster, hence why he ended up missing the weight. There was also rumors that he was going to end up getting cut because I'm sure he's getting a much better paycheck than anybody else who just gets signed straight to the UFC, considering the body of work he had already put together over there in Octagon MMA. I love his style, though. This guy is an explosive, fast power puncher who looks to knock his opponents out as quickly as he can, but he has the gas tank to go 25 minutes if he needs to. He's also usually fighting guys that look to take him to the ground, but his takedown defense is very high level. He does a great job in getting right back to his feet if he is taken down, and then he just commands the pace by walking his opponents down and landing big strikes. Now, the one loss on his record was due to an injury that he suffered in a fight against, I believe, Nico Samsonidze. I think he broke his foot in the opening round of that fight, and the fight was called off due to injury. But this guy's been going out there and absolutely starching dudes left and right. He's very, very skilled, very, very hyped, and I think he's going to continue to reach that hype and blast through it, especially with the way the UFC is matching him up this weekend against Nathaniel Wood. And also that foot injury, I just wanted to quickly check it here. It was against Mate Sanikidze. Sorry. He ended up knocking out Nico Samsonidze when he returned. What was it? He only took 5 months off after that foot injury and managed to get back onto the winning track there. But even the way the UFC initially matched him up, right, against Patricio Pitbull, it's clear they thought the world of this guy. But he obviously let them down a little bit with the weight kerfuffle there. So hopefully he has that under wraps this time around, because if he can go out there and make the weight, this guy is going to be an absolute problem at 145 pounds. Now, again, tough matchup here against Nathaniel Wood right off the bat. He's fighting a well-rounded guy with a ton of experience and a guy that could maybe find safety at range. However, I think Keita will be able to close that distance. I think Wood will be surprised at the speed of Keita, and then before he knows it, he's going to be staring up at the lights. I think we'll see Keita repeatedly land big shots here, and I think he eventually puts Wood's lights out clean. I don't think Wood has a big enough grappling edge here to take Keita to the ground to try to find some room for safety. I think he'll struggle big time there, and then just continue to get bombed on by Keita. So I'm going to take Keita by knockout, and I feel pretty damn good about him, especially at minus 220.